Pages. I'm in Jerry, and it is quite early in the morning. I wanted to just come on and let you know what I am going to be reading for. I'm very proud of myself. What I'm going to be reading for the Throwbackathon, the Fuckathon, the Read Caribbean, and the Caribathon. And I think that I'm going to be able to manage like satisfying all of these readathons by reading one book. And this book is Brown Girl in the Ring by Nalo Hopkinson. I'm just going to read the back because it's early and that's what I'm going to do because I'm grown and I can do whatever I want. This is by my favorite author, Nalo Hopkinson. The rich and privileged have fled the city, barricaded it behind roadblocks, and left it to crumble. The inner city has had to rediscover old ways, farming, barter, herb lore. But now the moneyed need a harvest of bodies, and so they prey upon the helpless of the streets. With nowhere to turn, a young woman must open herself to ancient truths, eternal powers, and the tragic mystery surrounding her mother and grandmother. She must bargain with gods and give birth to new legends. This was Nalo Hopkinson's debut novel. I believe that Nalo Hopkinson wrote this novel in her 20s, and she won the John W. Campbell Award and the Locus Award for Best First Novel. The Brown Girl in the Ring has recently been made into an independent short film here in Toronto. I first read this over 20 years ago. And I didn't quite understand it. I was getting into fantasy, but I still found fantasy a little bit confusing. And then I read it again about 15 years ago. And then I read it again, and I believe I did a very brief review of it many moons ago on this channel. I remember I was wearing like a red sweater, and I don't even know what I said. Maybe I'll link it to this video. But I'm going to be reading it again because in part I will be interviewing Nalo Hopkinson as part of Quarantined Pages this Sunday, June 21st. So I'll leave a link to the event and the registration key below. So if you would like to participate in the interview by watching it, you're definitely welcome to do so. I absolutely love Nalo Hopkinson. She's my favorite author for so many reasons. First of all, she's the only author that I've read so far who has brought speculative fiction, fantasy, and fabulous fiction into the Toronto landscape. And as those of you who know me know, I live in Toronto. Toronto is heralded as one of the most diverse cities in the world. It obviously is, along with many others, but that doesn't mean that it's without white supremacy and racism, because it isn't. And Nalo combines political commentary with the mysteries of ancient Caribbean and African spiritual traditions, with queerness, with mindfulness around ableism, and she enriches her stories with so much. And you know, when I read her work, I can't help but side-eye other writers who say that it's difficult to challenge things in their writing, because I'm like, I know Nalo's brilliant, and she has a way with her storytelling, and she's ingenious in terms of the nimbleness of her plots, the richness of her characters, the way that she's able to deal with very difficult subject matter, and to make it accessible. I love how she can do that. And so she's definitely a talent. While I say that though, it can't be hard to deliberately choose to create more inventive and inclusive and anti-oppressive science fiction, fantasy, and fabulous fiction. You just have to want to do it. You have to want to challenge the norm in your work. And I've read every book that Nalo Hopkinson has written. I've read almost every short story she's written, and I have read a few of the articles that she's written. And I've watched speeches, and I've never, ever, ever seen her present or talk about her work or talk about science fiction without grounding her writing in the responsibility and accountability of being, for her, a Black queer woman in these times. So it is always a gift to re-enter her work and her worlds, and I'm so proud that she is somebody that I get to learn from and commune with and now interview. So this satisfies the Caribathon and the Read Caribbean Readathon because Nalo Hopkinson is Jamaican. So that's one. It also satisfies the fuckathon. It satisfies fuck capitalism, and I think it also satisfies fuck homophobia, I think. So I will put that below because I don't remember all the fucks I'm supposed to not be giving. So there's that. It satisfies 4 out of the 5 prompts for the throwbackathon as well. It is a guilty pleasure because I love Nalo Hopkinson's work, and it's the third or fourth time that I'm reading this. It also is a coming of age story. It also features a main character who has a secret or learns something mysterious about herself. And I forget the other one that it satisfies. But this book satisfies like all the prompts. Oh, it also will probably satisfy Queer Blackathon, although it's a bit early for that. And the Pride Readathon because Nalo is queer. And yes, so I just think, and I actually think that most of Nalo Hopkinson's books would satisfy most of the readathons that are going on right now. So if you're a slow reader like me and you can't read 5 books a day or a week, or maybe sometimes even a month, you might want to consider Nalo Hopkinson's work because you can satisfy a lot of prompts because she's just the kind of person who thinks about the world when she writes. The other thing I enjoy about this book is that it actually has a reading group guide in the back, so you can go to the discussion questions afterwards and chat with folks. Also, on that note, if you've actually read Brown Girl in the Ring, and I know a few of you have recently read it, if you're interested in a live show or having a discussion about it offline, let me know in the comments because I really want to talk about this book. I had forgotten that it was an urban post-apocalyptic fantasy, and it is. And I think that right now is a really important time to be reading any fantasy that gives us options of worlds that can exist when we have governments and state systems that are violent towards marginalized people. And we are in that moment right now as we deal with the white supremacist and anti-Black racist violent brutality of the police around the world, and as we think about how important it is to locate ourselves as a part of the movement for Black lives. So I think this is an excellent time to be reading Brown Girl in the Ring. I look forward to feeling more hopeful and optimistic, and I look forward to feeling validated because whenever I read Nalo Hopkinson's work, I feel validated. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Thank you very much for watching. This channel recently hit 5,000 subscribers, so I'd like to acknowledge that. And for those of you who have recently joined this channel, ONYX Pages is a decidedly political channel where I exclusively read or near exclusively read science fiction, fantasy, horror, works by Black authors with a particular focus on queer authors. It's not a fad or a trend for me. I do it because it's important for me to read the work of people whose literature, whose contribution to the canon, whose bibliographies center Black lives. So that's one of the ways that I remind all of us of the importance of our work here. So I hope that you are enjoying Pride. I hope that you're honoring the contributions of Black trans people in Pride and in the gay movement, the LGBT movement. I hope that you are and your family are safe and your people are safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I hope that those of you who, like me, have broken hearts and hearts full of rage, and who are animated as a result of the passing of Black trans people at the hands of police, and other Black people, that you are finding ways to connect with others, to hold your people close, to be held, to be comforted as you take steps towards the next iteration of our societies. I will say that for now. I hope that you have a good day, and remember to read with purpose. See ya.